Coming up on iOS today, it's time to spring clean those devices. I am Mikah, Sargent, and Rosemary Orchard and I talk about how to clean up your iPhones and your iPads to make sure that they are sparkling. Well, internally, it's all about managing your data and making sure that you've got room to fit more things on your devices. Stay tuned for this episode of iOS Today.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
This is iOS Today with Rosemary Orchard and Mikah Sargent, episode 697, recorded Tuesday, March 19th, 2024, for Thursday, April 4th, 2024. Cleaning up your iPhone and iPad devices. Welcome back to iOS Today, the show where we talk about all things iOS, tvOS, watchOS, HomePodOS, visionOS, and all the OSs that Apple has on offer. We love to talk about the various platforms from the Cupertino company and how you can make the most of your Cupertino devices. Yes, your iPhones and iPads and everything in between. I am one of your hosts, Mikah Sargent.
And, sorry, folks, I was just cleaning my camera. I'm Rosemary Orchard. And, I have a microfiber cloth here, though we were going to talk digital cleaning rather than physical cleaning. So let's probably stick with that today, Mikah.
Yes. So this is actually a very common question that I know I get personally, I get professionally, and I'm sure you have the same experience as well. There are multiple ways to go about clearing up your storage, and maybe even just, we used to defrag our machines and DGOS our television screens and declutter our digital portfolio. Cleaning is a thing that we all kind of keep in the back of our head. And maybe we think there's a little cruft that builds up in our system over time. Or maybe we're presented with a pop-up that says, there's no more room for photographs. You're going to need to clear out the space. That's how I imagine the voice sounds, at least. So let's talk about what we can do to clean up our devices. And Rosemary, I think that you make a good point in our show notes, which is that we kind of need to understand the difference between what's stored on our device and what's stored off of our device that we simply have access to due to the miracle of the cloud.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The most common question that I get from folks is, hey, I have loads of storage space, but it keeps saying it can't back up my phone. What's the problem? And the problem here is not that your 512 gigabyte iPhone does not have space for more pictures. It has plenty of space. Probably, but it's most likely that you don't have enough space left in your iCloud storage, which is the storage that you are probably having to pay for with Apple because you get 5 gigabytes for free. So on-device storage is the actual physical inside of your phone or iPad or Apple TV or Vision Pro storage. And that's, what you have to pay the extra fee for when you get it from Apple. And iCloud storage is I pay for it every month to get 50 gigabytes, 200 gigabytes, 1 terabyte, 2 terabyte of storage, which is where all of your backups go. But also things like your photos get synced through iCloud Photos, and documents can get synced through iCloud Photos as well. And Apple has a really good guide, which I think we can probably link folks to in the show notes, showing how you can find all of the, what the difference is there and how you can find out how much storage you've got. And they've also got some links, which we can go through in a moment, on optimizing your storage. But yes, if somebody says, hey, I need more storage on my my iPhone or my iPad, because, you folks are the techie nerds for your friends and family who are going to be answering these questions, I guess. Start by double checking. Do they need more device storage or do they need more iCloud storage? Because more device storage probably means a new iPhone or a new iPad, but more iCloud storage, it's not lovely to have to pay an extra subscription every month, but it's usually just a couple of bucks to add some more storage. And then you've got all of your backups and all of your photos are synced. So if something does happen to your phone, then you're not going to lose all of those precious pegs.
One of the great things, again, about Apple support in particular, and we'll go to the second link in the rundown there, is that Apple support does regularly try to kind of keep its support system updated with what people actually need to know. And so occasionally you'll come across a great page that's sort of a central hub of a lot of recommendations and suggestions that you might have to help make more space. And so Apple's support page for Manage Your iCloud Storage includes a section called Making More Space Available in iCloud. One of the things that you can do is follow what's called the Recommended for You prompt. And in your settings on your iPhone, you just tap on Settings, you tap on your name at the top, I call it the Apple ID banner, and then you tap on iCloud. You'll see a page that says Recommended for You. When you tap on that, you will find some different options to help to make space with iCloud, but also on your device. So for example, you can review your photos and videos. So if you find duplicate photos, screenshots, or videos that maybe you don't need anymore, it can suggest those to remove, which will save you 46 gigabytes. That's in the example that they provide. And then also perhaps you have large files that you aren't using anymore, or that maybe you could move to external storage of some sort to save, in this case, 5.6 gigabytes. What's great is that Recommended for You also has a section for on-device storage, like Rosemary was talking about, where it will suggest different things like if you've ever, for example, paid for a show, and so you're getting episodes regularly sent to your device, an iPad, for example, and you watch that show. It may be that multiple episodes of that show are downloaded to your device, and they're just sitting there. You've already watched the show. You don't plan to continue to watch the show, or rather rewatch the show because it's the current season, whatever it happens to be. So that's storage that can be removed, or files rather that can be removed. So that Recommended for You section can help you with that. You can also just do a general iCloud backup size reduction, for example, by choosing to not sync certain things to your iCloud. Perhaps you have, at some point, you've had maybe an iPhone 10, an iPhone 11, and those backups are still in existence in your iCloud storage. You could remove those backups from your iCloud storage. There are so many different ways to help clean out the cruft that could be stored in your iCloud if you've run out of space. And I have to tell you, anecdotally, one of the biggest storage takers that I've seen are people's texts and attachments in messages. A lot of times, if you're using messages in the cloud and you choose to keep your messages forever, you may find that is just taking up a whole hunk of storage space in the cloud. So that might be something that you choose to remove as well. Lots of different options for files and, all sorts of stuff that you can take out of your iCloud storage if you've got way too much stored there. Now, how do I locally check the storage on my iPhone to see what I've got rocking on my device itself?
Well, to check the storage that is being used on your iPhone, I always do this by going into Settings and then General. And then if you pop under About, then you can actually see the capacity of your phone, how much storage is available, and some other things there as well. But that is the place where it gets started. And then to actually get the information about your specific phone storage and what's being used, you just tap on the iPhone storage option under General. And then this is the bit that I was trying to preload and it didn't quite work. There we go. Where it finally loads up. It may take a little while to process this, and it will tell you per app what is being used. So I can see it's recommending that I offload some unused apps. Now, I did check the other day, and I currently have 769 apps installed, Mikah. This is going to take me a little while to process. I'm going to have to go through and get rid of some of these. And I'm actually planning on deleting these apps by sneaky tip for you folks. I'm going to plug my iPhone into my Mac. Well, it is plugged into my Mac, so I'm going to do it after the show. And I'm going to use Apple Configurator to batch delete a whole bunch of apps that I don't need anymore, because I do download a lot of apps for the show. But it reckons I can save 52.69 gigabytes of storage if I offload some apps. So I should probably do that. But then I can see after this, which apps are using how much space. So I can see, for example, the Disney Plus app is using 5.3 gigabytes. And I can see that's because Kingsman, The Golden Circle, is downloaded, which I may have downloaded that earlier specifically for the show to demonstrate this, folks. But there we go. I was able to delete that individual video. And now when I go back and let it recalculate again, it will be able to say that it's using less space. Now, the podcast app, for reasons unknown, I don't have any podcasts in here. There's nothing underneath the delete app. It's using 3.3 gigabytes of space. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to tap to delete that. And then that will go away. Now, you can actually, instead of having this sorted by size, which is what it defaults to, you can sort it by last use date. The only problem with this is it puts the most recent things at the top. And so you have to scroll down and then tap show all. And then in my case, scroll for about 16 hours. And then you get to the bottom where you can see the oldest apps on your device that you haven't used in the longest time. And that's where you can then getting rid of those apps. And as you can see, a lot of these apps aren't even actually installed on my device. So that is how you can do that. And some folks might have seen that Messages is using up quite a bit of space. So Mikah, do you want to tell folks how they can automatically clean up messages and message attachments?
Yes, I did want to mention that this is a good thing, even if you aren't running out of storage space. It's a good page to go to regularly kind of audit what's going on, because I went to this page and the second thing on this page is Lightroom, which is currently taking up 10.32 gigabytes of storage space on my iPhone. Folks, I don't even remember the last time I opened Lightroom. So the fact that it's storing all of that stuff on my device is kind of wild because I just don't make use of it. So I could go into Lightroom and I could choose to offload the app, which will keep the documents and data, unfortunately, will offload the app itself of 294 megabytes. But what I would really want to do in this case is go into Lightroom, see what is taking up all of that storage space, and then potentially kind of get that off of my device because there's not any need for it. I don't use that app very often. What happened was I opened the app one time to answer a question for somebody or maybe just to play around in it. And it ended up downloading a bunch of my iCloud photos to its own local library. Now, to make a change to how your messages are stored, we would scroll down we'd launch the settings app. We'd scroll down and we'd choose messages. And then from here, we can scroll down to the section that says message history. And you'll see that I, like many of the people I know, have the setting for keep messages set to forever. You can choose to have messages kept for a year, 30 days, or forever. I like to keep my messages. I've got the space for it. But if you're running out of space and regularly running out of space and it's because of your messages, particularly if you got a group chat where everybody's always sending videos and photos back and forth that aren't just links to those photos and videos, that can be a great way to save space for that. And then you also have the option to very near the bottom, choose if audio messages expire. So if you and your friends regularly talk back and forth over audio, you can choose to have these messages expire after 2 minutes as opposed to keeping them around for a while. And then last but not least, as a service to others, you can choose to toggle on the setting low quality image mode, which basically makes it so that when you send photos, they are at a reduced quality so that the person on the other end receiving the file doesn't necessarily get a big photo. I have that shut off because I've not had that complaint from anyone. But if maybe you and your family are regularly messaging each other and it's an issue, you could both sides could turn on low quality image mode to keep that turned off. So with all of those turned on, then with all of those settings, you can kind of make changes to how Messages is or is not storing everything on your device. What's next, Rosemary?
Well, next up, Mikah, it's maybe a bit more like financial spring cleaning, but it's always a good idea to go in and just have a little audit of your app subscriptions and the subscriptions that come with your iCloud account and so on. So what I have done is I popped into my settings and then I tapped on that Apple ID banner you're talking about at the top. And then I can tap on subscriptions. And here I can see subscriptions. I can see that I have a number of expired subscriptions. So there are the ones that don't have any prices next to them. And then I've got a number of active subscriptions. So I can sort them. They get sorted by default by the app name, which is why Apple One comes up first. And then there's also price and renewal dates. So I can see if I go into the renewal date, then Switch Buddy, for example, the Switch Companion is up for renewal next at the end of the month. And I can choose to share this with my family or not. And I can also cancel this if I would like to cancel it. And then it will change to this. So I can see now it says that my Switch Buddy, Switch Companion subscription expires on the 28th of March, and then I can turn on the renewal. This is also where you can see different plans available. So, for example, if I was there going, I don't know, maybe I want it for another month or two, I could switch to a monthly version of this. And that can be quite useful for various things that you may not actually want to cancel just yet, but you don't feel that you need the annual subscription on this at this point in time. So yeah, it's worth going in and just having a look there, and also, just having a look in your email as well and see what else you're getting subscription renewal emails from. But at least if you've subscribed through your Apple ID and the App Store, then it's all under subscriptions.
Nice. Yes, it is a good idea to audit your subscriptions regularly, absolutely, to make sure that it is what you expect it to be, and that you're not going to end up being charged for things that you don't want to pay for anymore. Now, tell us about how customizing your Safari settings can help to save storage space and also keep clean your device, because maybe you're a person who likes to have a trillion tabs at all times, but you don't need to use all those tabs. I know there's a way that I can reduce the number of tabs I have open regularly. What else can I do in Safari? Or actually, if you can give us a demonstration of that feature as well.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to start with the good old nuke and pave. You've opened Safari on your iPhone or perhaps your iPad. What you can do if you're like, I have too many tabs, I just want everything gone, is you can tap and hold on the box, on a box icon. And once you've tapped and held on that, then you'll see a number of options. So I can, move this to various different tab groups that I have. I can make it I can switch to private tabs, but I can close this tab. I can also close all 57 open tabs. Now, I only have 57 open tabs, and that would be a minor miracle on my iPhone, because I actually don't use Safari as the app icon. I have a custom shortcut that every time I open it, opens DuckDuckGo for me, so that I don't get distracted and fall back down into the pit of the thing that I was looking at earlier, which, can be quite a useful little hack to keep your brain clean whilst we're spring cleaning. But if you go into settings and then Safari, then there are a number of options that you can do here. So first of all, you can change your search engine to use DuckDuckGo instead of Google, for example. So, less of your personal data running around the internet unnecessarily, perhaps. You can also say whether or not to use that in private browsing. You can turn on and off Safari suggestions and search engine suggestions and preloading top hits and things. But there are some good options. I'm not going to tap into it because there's a bunch of my personal information in there, but you can clean up autofill. So you can get rid of any bad data that's in autofill. You can choose where your downloads go. So you may want to actually have your downloads not go into iCloud Drive, but you might want to put them somewhere else, and such as on your device, so it's not taking up space in your iCloud storage account. You can also remove items from your downloads list, and I have this set to remove them after 1 day. But you can also remove it after the download is successful or manually from that list. And then there are some other options down here. So you can choose to open links in a new tab, which could be good, could be bad, depending on your tab habits. But if, like me, you're a tab addict and you have so many open tabs, you can say close tabs. And this, by the way, folks, it does default to manually, but you can change this so that Safari will automatically close tabs after a day, a week, or a month. And I had this set to a month, and a couple of months ago, I changed it down to a week. Wow. And you know what, folks? I haven't lost anything. because if you're there going, but my tabs, like they show me like that I can go back to the page. Don't forget, under bookmarks, you can tap on that little clock and then you'll be able to go back and search the history and find the thing that you were looking for almost certainly. So yeah, that's how I keep on top of my tab habit there. There are a couple of other things as well that you can do to customize, for example, this favorites page. So when you tap into the address bar, you can customize what you see here. So at the moment, I'm seeing a whole bunch of stuff here, but you can actually customize this page. So I can show a little less of these things, and I can see all of my tabs from my other devices. That's all very handy, but you can also change this. So you can have different icons or a different background show up here and things like that as well. And there's a really nice guide to do this. So there should be, and it's not showing up for me right now, and I'm not quite sure why, but there's supposed to be a little edit button on this page, and I don't quite know exactly why. It may be that I have to open it as like a new tab. There we go. I had to open it in a new tab rather than from the address bar, and then I can turn off recently closed tabs and Siri suggestions and the privacy report and frequently visited, and I can turn on a background image. That's much better. There we go. And now I have my nice background image and I can just see the things that I want to see here. So that's, if you edit that, then that can be quite a useful way to browse around the internet, because who doesn't like to just be able to tap there and see their favorite links and all of the things that they like to keep handy right in front of their face.
Mm-hmm. Along with that, you do also have this is a common question, and it's a little difficult because I don't really want either of us to have to show this page, or show it on our personal devices, but we can show the support page. If you have a bunch of passes or cards in your Apple Wallet that you're no longer using, a lot of people think that you would, double tap the side button and then that would give you full access to everything because that's where Apple Pay and all the other wallet stuff appears. But you don't get the full, true, complete settings of Wallet unless you use the Wallet app. So on your iPhone, you launch the Wallet app, you tap on a card or a pass that you want to remove, and then you tap my favorite button, either the 3 dots for more or the I for information. And then there's an option to remove the card or remove the pass. So if you have, again, you've got a bunch of tickets stored there for different venues and you're not trying to save the digital versions, then you can use this option to remove those from your Apple Watch. But from any of your devices that have Wallet displayed. So that is a quick and easy way to kind of clear out the cruft in your Wallet app. Tell us about understanding and managing battery, because this is another common question I get.
Yeah, and battery management on your iPhone or your iPad can be pretty tricky. There's nothing worse than going, okay, I've got like 20% battery left. Like it's fine. I can still finish the thing that I'm doing, only to look up 5 minutes later and see you're down to 10%. So under settings and then battery on your device, and this works the same way on the iPad as well, you can get a picture of your battery health for the last 24 hours and the last 10 days. And if you scroll down a bit, then you'll get an idea of what apps are using what percentage of your battery, and also where that's coming from within the app. So for example, I can see here Mail says notifications. Find My says background activity. And that means that, the background activity, that's not me opening Find My and having Find My open. That's Find My updating things like the locations of my AirTags when it spots them, and my location, and getting the locations of my friends and family who share that with me. And Mails comes from from the notifications it's sending me, which also ties into it fetching the emails. I can also see that Personal Hotspot used 4% of my battery, and it says low signal. Yes, because I spent a chunk of Friday in a hospital with my dad, who has managed to damage his hamstring, and he was making sure he hadn't actually broken anything. And I was tethering to my phone while I was there, and I didn't have great signal, but it was good enough to work. But it did apparently eat some of my battery while it was there. And so if you are struggling to find out, like what is it that is using all my battery, it's worth coming in here and having a look to see. So for example, I can see my home screen and lock screen use 10% of my battery, but it's also worth remembering when you go into, for example, Control Center and you turn on low power mode, however you turn on low power mode, a lot of these things will use less battery than they were previously. For example, mail is not going to go out and look for new emails all the time. My always on display, it's not going to be always on when I've got low power mode on. That's one of the reasons why I enable it sometimes when I do, because then my phone will auto lock faster. And I can also see that Safari and Shortcuts used, a percentage of battery while they were connected to the charger. So, it's less concerning that they're using that much battery there. But if you are trying to figure out why your iPhone or iPad battery drains so fast, it's worth having a look in here. And it can also make some suggestions sometimes. For example, if you don't have auto lock enabled and therefore your phone just doesn't automatically turn off then and lock itself, then that can definitely contribute towards worse battery life. And I don't usually have auto lock enabled, but I'm starting to think that maybe I should enable it, Mikah, because I accidentally left my phone on for 3 hours the other day on my desk when it was face down and I wasn't looking at it. So I should probably turn that off.
Indeed. I think maybe it would be time. And then last but not least, we do want to mention a third-party app. This app is one that has been around for a while that both Leo and I have suggested in the past. It, at one time was called Gemini Photo. And it was an application that, it's from MacPaul, that would look through your photo library and help you find not just duplicates, but photos that were close to one another in, they're visually similar. And it would help you then remove those duplicates and those visually similar photos and kind of cut the cruft that way. The app has since been renamed and rebranded because MacPaul also makes a tool for the Mac that I have used in the past and do recommend, even though that can be controversial, because a lot of people who know a thing or two about Mac OS think that the kind of all-in-one cleaning app is a kind of scam thing. When it comes to MacPaul, I can say with 100% certainty it is not. The tool works fantastically on the Mac. I heartily recommend it, and I think it works great. They have rebranded Gemini Photo to Clean My Phone on iOS and iPadOS. So this still does the deduplication of photos, but it can also help you kind of clean up some of your storage space as well. Again, it is mostly still a photo cleaner because that is going to be obviously where it has the most control. It can gain access to your iPhone photo library, but it will also help you do a speed test, for example. And as I mentioned, help you kind of clean up some of your storage space if you have documents stored in your iCloud files. And so Clean My Phone is available for free with in-app purchase to provide some cleaning to your device. And if you have had Gemini Photo on your device, you will have seen that the software was simply updated to become Clean My Phone and now has some new functionality built in. I think that brings us to the end of that first segment. If you out there listening have apps or suggestions for things that you think are a great way to help you clean your device, let us know. iOS Today at twit.tv is how you get in touch with us. We would love to hear about your own cleaning tips and tricks, or if you made use of the tips and tricks we suggested to you this morning. I believe, though, I can hear the music. It's time for Shortcuts Corner. It's time for Shortcuts Corner. This is the part of the show where you write in with your shortcuts requests, and Rosemary Orchard, our shortcuts expert, provides a response. The first shortcuts request comes in from Jay, who writes, "Hello, Sonoma County fan here, right up the road in Valley Ford. Hi, Jay. I'm really enjoying the new Snoopy watch face. It's a lot of fun, but at work, I find myself wanting/needing other details on my watch face, such as the date and more. Is there a way to create a shortcut that automatically changes my watch face based on my location? Thanks. I could have answered this one. That makes me feel good.
Yeah,
Rosemary.
and there's a whole bunch of ways you could do this.
Yes,
so
tell us
it's
about
worth knowing that there are multiple ways that you can automatically change your watch face. And I'm going to start by saying if you've got an Apple Watch Ultra, you can even program that action button on it to do that. Same if you have the iPhone 15 or 15 Pro or 15 Pro Max, you can program your action button to change your watch face. But I'm going to start with the real basic stuff because you don't actually have to use shortcuts to do this at all, assuming that you also have a focus mode that triggers, for example, when you're working. So if you have a work focus mode, and that could be triggered by a location, or it could be triggered by time, whichever works for you, then what you can do is you can actually tap on the work focus mode in settings. So you go to settings, focus, and then you select your focus mode. And then you can edit your watch face and you can choose another watch face. So when your focus mode activates, it will automatically pick the watch face. Now, it looks like, Mikah, I might need to do a little spring cleaning in here because, oh my gosh, that's a lot of watch faces. But I do have my watch face set up as is my preference. And I've done this for a few different focus modes. And so that works really well for me. But there are more ways to solve this problem than just using your focus modes. If, for example, you don't want a focus mode for when you're at the supermarket, but you would like a focus mode that maybe shows you your grocery list in that large central modular complication, then you can use shortcuts. So I'm going to start by creating an automation, and I am going to pick Arrive, and I am going to set this to run immediately. And I'm not going to limit this to a time range, and I'm just going to quickly turn off my phone screen while I choose a location just to avoid sharing all of the location information of the world. There we go. And so I have the Eiffel Tower here as an option. Perfect. Now I can adjust this. I can make this larger or smaller. And I think I'll just cover the actual Eiffel Tower for now. And then I can tap next, and either I can choose a shortcut. And I personally recommend creating shortcuts to set your watch face to watch face X or watch face Y. But instead, I'm going to create a blank automation here. And then if we look under apps and then we scroll down to watch, then we can see some of the actions available to us. So this is quite nice because I can also toggle the always on screen, and I can do things like set school time or cinema mode and silent mode as well. But what I'm actually going to do here is I am going to use a set watch face action. And here is the difficult bit. I don't have a visual version of what's going on here. And especially where I've got something like multiple extra large faces in a row, I'm going to have to use my watch app on my phone. And I'm going to have to look in that list. So, oh my gosh, Mike, I've got 42 watch faces. I really need to clean this out. But there we go. I can see that, let's scroll to the top. I would like the first, let's go with liquid metal face on this. Oops, and I didn't even select it. There we go. Liquid metal. And so when I get to the Eiffel Tower, it will set my watch face to this. Now, obviously, you can use this for your work location. You can use other triggers as well. So, for example, when you're connecting to CarPlay, you might want a watch face that pops up certain information while you're in CarPlay. When you get messages, you might want to change your watch face to, Snoopy whenever you get a message from a partner or a friend or something like that. There's a whole bunch of options you can do. I would say don't go too crazy with it. You don't want to be changing watch face every 5 minutes because Apple does try to avoid killing your battery life by loading the data that is needed for the complications onto your watch. And so if you're changing watch faces every 5 minutes, it's having to go and fetch a whole bunch of extra data. That will take a while. But there's time of day triggers, there's sleep triggers, and all sorts. But definitely start by having a look at the focus modes. And especially now, focus modes don't have to filter things in, and they can just filter things out. It's much easier and nicer to set up a focus mode so that you can change your Apple Watch screen and also your lock screen and home screen background if you want to.
Nice. Well, folks, I have to say it again. It is time that we say goodbye for this episode of iOS Today. Thank you to those of you who are Club TWiT members who helped to save this show in the first place and help us keep it going. If you are listening to the public audio version of the show and you would like to watch the video, then you will need to join Club TWiT at twit.tv/Club TWiT. For $7 a month, $84 a year, you out there can join the club. When you do, you gain access to some pretty great stuff, including ad-free versions of every single one of our shows, as well as video versions of our Club TWiT exclusive shows. You also get the TWiT Plus bonus feed that has extra content you won't find anywhere else, behind the scenes, before the show, after the show, special Club TWiT events, access to the members-only Discord server. It's all awesome, and it's all available, again, $7 a month, $84 a year at twit.tv/Club TWiT. So please consider joining so you can watch this show and enjoy it that way. I should mention, firstly, if you have questions, if you have Shortcuts Corner requests, if you have feedback, any of that, you can send it to us, iOS2day@twit.tv. Rosemary Orchard, if folks want to follow along with your work and make sure they can stay up to date with what you're doing, where should they go to do so?
Well, the best place to go is rosemaryorchard.com, which has got links to podcasts, apps, books, and all sorts of things that I've been doing around the internet. And of course, you can also find me in the Club TWiT Discord, where currently there's been a little bit of discussion as to how you can archive voicemail messages and messages so that you still have them, even if they're not on your device, which is always very exciting. What about you, Mikah? Where can folks find you?
You can find me at Mikah Sargent on many a social media network, or you can head to chihuahua.coffee. That's CHIHUA.coffee, where I've got links to the places I'm most active online. Be sure to tune in this week to many shows, including Security Now later today, which I will co-host with Steve Gibson. Tomorrow, Windows Weekly, and This Week in Google. Thursday, Tech News Weekly. And then you can catch me later in that day for Hands on Mac, as well as an episode of iOS Today. And Sunday, of course, Ask the Tech Guys, which I co-host with Leo Laporte, where we take your questions live on air and do our best to answer them. Leo will be back for that Ask the Tech Guys episode, so we're looking forward to his imminent return. Thank you all so much, and we will see you again soon for another episode of iOS Today. Bye-bye.
Bye, folks.